welcome to another episode of QC Quick Chat, where we bring you conversations, dialogue, and thought leadership from QC leaders, employees, and drivers. I'm your host, Ara Kerr, Vice President of Driver Services and Marketing, and today we're joined by a special guest in a new format. So we're excited to bring some new ideas, a new studio, and a new format in 2024. So I'm going to ask our guest to jump right in, tell us her name, her position, how long she's been at Quality Carriers, and how long she's been in the transportation industry as a whole.
Hi, I'm Lynn Rogers. I am a driver manager for Terminal 151. I have been with QC, this August will be 10 years, and I've been in the transportation business for 15.
Awesome. So even though we're virtual, we're still going to keep the same format and we're going to do our icebreaker. So Lynn, our icebreaker question to you is, back in the day, and I think there's still some that are hanging around out there, CB radios were the rave in transportation, and it was kind of the thing to have a unique handle or name. So if you had to have a CB handle or name, what would your name be?
That, honestly, I would go with Smiley, maybe. I have drivers that call me that.
Awesome.
So, maybe
Awesome.
Smiley.
I like smiling, and you're smiling now, so I see why they call you Smiley. So we're going to jump right into the questions. And for those of you that are familiar, we always like to start our quick chat out with a quick poll question. We want to make sure we're asking the questions that you, our audience, want to hear about. So we polled our audience, and the question that won, Lynn, was, what strategies do you employ to ensure the safety and compliance of drivers while they're on the road?
I make sure, usually before each load, we check the notes and make sure they have the proper equipment, whether it's fittings, hoses, that they have before they go out. I'm always having them recheck their permit books. If I miss getting them an updated permit, that way they can come in here. They Lane, you missed this one. I always make sure they have their PPE. They know they can come to me if something gets damaged. Just come. I'll, more than happy to get up and go get it. During the winter month or the hurricane months, we always check the weather every day, every morning, come in, check, make sure, what's going on in the locations that my drivers are going to be traveling to. Make sure they plan out their routes.
Yeah, I think the good thing is we have an organization that's so committed to safety. There's different levels of safety precautions and procedures at every single level, going, starting from school and orientation to once they get to the terminal, they're working with you, the driver manager. That commitment to safety is consistent throughout the entire organization. So we thank you for embodying that commitment and for working with your drivers to make sure that they're safe and that they get to come home at the end of the day. So our second question, how do you handle challenging situations, such as delays, breakdowns, while still meeting those customer deadlines? What are some of your tricks of the trade?
Well, the first one is I usually always try and give my drivers enough time, extra time, to have a little cushion if something does happen, if they got a tire blown out or, just a minor breakdown. They always have a little bit extra time to still be able to make the deadline as far as if it's just a small breakdown. If it's a big one, just usually get with the other terminals and see if we can get a relay to make sure that, the customer is happy and they get their product and the drivers taken care of pretty quickly.
Yeah, another advantage of being the nation's largest, right? We have such an extensive network, and we can all rely on each other to all accomplish, the same goal. We all have the same goal. So it's good that you can tap into that vast network, and it's glad that we have one. I'm really glad that we have that large of a network that we can offer our drivers.
Oh yeah, I had a driver, something happen to his hose at a customer, and I pulled up Isaac and looked at all the trucks around him and got in contact with a terminal that had a truck nearby, and they got him a hose and it was fixed fast. So it was kind of nice.
Good. What would you say is the most important aspect of your job?
The most important is making sure my drivers are home every day safe.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then our final question for you, Lynn, is, in your opinion, what makes a successful driver manager?
making sure your drivers are happy and home, planning each day to ensure that the loads are covered and the drivers are not sitting. You know, you've got to plan so you can have them lined up. They're working and making the most of their time, and that way they make, you know, the most money. Um, I try not to add any extra stress to the drivers. I try to help them as much as possible, just to ensure that there's less stress, but they have enough going down the road, traveling with everybody out there. They don't need any extra. Having a routine and sticking with it. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I think flexibility too, and I thank you for your
Yeah.
flexibility in joining us on our first ever virtual quick chat. We are really looking forward to bringing you more conversations from the field, just like today. We may not be in the field physically, but we're going to continue to do our best to bring you some of those virtual conversations with leaders like Lynn. So, Lynn, thank you so much for joining us today. To our audience, thank you so much for joining us, and stay tuned for the next quick chat. Have a great day.